Hey, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Sarah Peternell. I'm the owner of Family Nutrition Services, and I'm very glad you're here. A while back, I posted a video about should you be eating dairy products if you have Hashimoto's disease. And boy, did I get a lot of questions about lactose intolerance. And in fact, I even hinted in that video that I would eventually talk to you guys about the issues of lactose intolerance with Hashimoto's disease. So today is the day. If you know somebody who has Hashimoto's disease and they are struggling with dairy in their diet and maybe having some symptoms, this is a great video for you to pass on to them. So what do we need to know about lactose intolerance? Well, the first thing is that lactose intolerance is not the same thing as a dairy protein allergy or intolerance. So lactose is referring to actually the milk sugar that's present in dairy products, which relies on having an adequate amount of lactase enzyme to break down the milk sugar. So symptoms of lactose intolerance can be very similar to like a casein or a whey intolerance or allergy, but the difference is that the protein intolerance from whey or casein will actually launch an inflammatory attack or an inflammatory problem in the digestive system, and it may have an immune system origin in nature. Lactose intolerance, fortunately, on the other hand, is not quite as complicated or as concerning as an IgG and IgA intolerance of these dairy proteins, but it can cause some real discomfort, and by that I mean bloating, gas, kind of feeling like you have a food baby about 2 hours after you eat foods that contain dairy products. And for many, it can be kind of hard to differentiate between the two. Am I actually dealing with a protein intolerance of whey or casein, or am I dealing with lactose intolerance? So the first thing I would do is recommend working with a holistic nutrition practitioner who can help you through food intolerance testing and or an elimination diet to decide, yeah, actually, you do have some of these issues that are related to food protein intolerances related to dairy. And again, watch my other video on these issues that I have here on YouTube. But today, let's talk about lactose intolerance. Your holistic nutrition practitioner can help you understand some of the things that are more important to know with lactose intolerance. Now, it is kind of interesting because there's really only one major study about lactose sensitive individuals with Hashimoto's. So it's kind of hard to find information about this, but the study that I read is really sort of at the end of the day, it says that people who have Hashimoto's may be better able to absorb their medication after they stop eating dairy, because lactose intolerance and a deficiency in the lactase enzyme may be interfering with the absorption of their thyroid medication as well. So I feel like for most people, this information is good enough that if you're both experiencing digestive symptoms and if you feel like your medication isn't working quite as well as you want it to or as well as it should be, and you've had to increase it a couple of times, try eliminating dairy for this reason. So, we'll probably get around to finding some more studies on lactose intolerance and Hashimoto's in the future, but for now, I would highly recommend that you at least consider a trial period to see if you start to feel better both with your digestive symptoms and to see if some of your thyroid symptoms start to feel a little bit better on their own. Now, the important thing that's also really important is that there can be both IgA, kind of like non-celiac gluten intolerance or celiac-like intolerance to milk proteins, as well as IgG, intolerance to milk proteins, in addition to lactose intolerance. Wow, that's like a triple whammy. So in a lot of cases, with autoimmunity and leaky gut, as we've been kind of discussing on these videos for many, many weeks and months now, the bottom line is that autoimmunity against your thyroid, which develops to your Hashimoto's thyroid disease, may actually have had a trigger or a influencer, if you will, from certain foods. And so one of the bigger foods and food proteins that can cause disruption in the gut and in the gut microbiome is dairy. Okay, so that's really important to know. And also, I think that people who have some degree of leaky gut, or we also call it intestinal permeability, this basically means that they probably have some issues with their enzyme production as well, because where there's one dysfunction with digestion, there's certainly plenty more to follow. So what I would like to say at the kind of the conclusion of this, which is that dairy, whether it is a protein intolerance or a protein allergy in any of the immune systems, like I mentioned, IgG, IgA, IgM, that's one issue, but also there can be lactose intolerance, which does not originate in the immune system and may not be launching an inflammatory attack, but may have similar symptoms. The bottom line is that for people who are not doing very well with dairy in their diet and who have Hashimoto's, I highly recommend that you stop eating dairy. Hey, why not? Now, you may reach a point in your life where you've eliminated it and your symptoms resolve, your medication improves, you start feeling better in your thyroid, and you may find that there's a time when your gut has healed up enough that you can actually have some dairy foods once in a while. Hi, me. I don't do it very often, and I know that eventually it's a slippery slope, right? So Christmas time rolls around, and I'm super excited because I love some of my favorite raw cheeses, and even too much for me of goat cheese or sheep cheese can really throw things kind of for a loop. But I have healed my gut. I have worked on regular maintenance of keeping a healthy gut. I take digestive enzymes. I use a really good probiotic. I eat a really, really healthy plant-based with very sensible, high-quality proteins and healthy fats in my diet, so I'm able to tolerate a little bit of cows and goats and sheep's milk dairy from time to time, okay, with very few symptoms. But as soon as I start to feel things are a little bit off in my digestive system, and even just a little bit of a weird throat feeling from time to time, I know that means I probably need to cut back on dairy once again. I hope that this video has answered some of your questions between the differences of lactose intolerance and dairy intolerance in terms of the proteins. I think that there is benefit for those of you who are considering eliminating dairy and the benefits that you will get both for your gut and for your thyroid. So give it a try. Check out some of my other videos that I have about alcohol, gluten, coffee, and of course the original dairy video. That one's a great place to start. Thank you for subscribing to my channel, and I'll see you soon when I have a new video out for you next week. Take care.